So we have reached the year when we are going to be getting a Dune film from director Denis Villeneuve. Obviously this is one of the most anticipated films of the year. It's my second most anticipated film of the year behind Christopher Nolan's Tenet. I think both Christopher Nolan and Denis Villeneuve are directors that I love. I think every film they've put out has been testing, it's been original in some way, and it just shows that there are directors out there who can fully embrace, not just when they take on source material to create something that's new and original, but their own projects too, and bring their own visual style to them. And I think Denis Villeneuve with Dune, obviously Dune being one of the most influential science fiction novels in history, it's a book that really did inspire some elements of Star Wars and, you know, some famous projects out there. I think Dune is a quintessential novel that if it's adapted right, it could be one of the biggest films of all time. It could be huge in the sense of scale that, you know, films like Star Wars captured, that Lord of the Rings captured. And talking about Star Wars and Lord of the Rings, we have had a recent reaction to Dune footage which has come out explaining how, you know, based on the footage that this person has seen, they have said that essentially it could be that next quintessential science fiction film that is in comparison to the scale that Lord of the Rings and Star Wars brought. And this person is called Brian Clement, and he essentially said after seeing the footage from Dune, he said, "I'm in my office now and with one of my fellow sci-fi nerd fan friends, and we're talking about how my Dune tweet blew up and how it's killing us, that we can't share the specifics we saw in the preview footage. I really didn't realise just how secret the whole Dune production has been until that tweet about seeing some footage completely blew up. Now I've been introduced to a super passionate Dune fan base going bonkers for any info. I'm just a guy in Canada working in the industry." He went on to give an idea of what he meant by the footage description, saying that, "I think this will blow people away the way Lord of the Rings did 20 years ago, the way Star Wars did 40 years ago. I'm not exaggerating when I say a lot of people will have goosebumps, tears when they see this movie. Heck, I might. When they see the footage I saw, they will." And the original tweet that he put out, which is that comment was based on, this is what he went on to say previously. "There's been some promo footage of Denis Villeneuve's Dune shown to people already. Here's a bunch of details on what they saw. Cast looks phenomenal in their costumes, sets are enormous, same scope as Blade Runner 2049 and Arrival. That's great to hear. Blade Runner 2049 is one of my favourite films, not just of 2017 but of all time. I completely love that film, especially Arrival too. Mix of grimly realism and dreamlike imagery. Timothée Chalamet as Paul looks excellent. Rebecca Ferguson looks eerie. Dave Bautista looks like a monster as the Beast. Cinematography looks excellent." And I just want to stress, I'm someone who hasn't read Dune, and I'm definitely going to read it before I see the film, based on all, you know, the talk about Dune, based on the fact that Denis Villeneuve himself is directing this, because anything he puts his hands on, I'm interested in, you know, reading and getting an idea of what he's trying to capture. So I will read Dune, just to put that, you know, into perspective. I'm not someone who's read the novel, but I'm really interested in reading it. It looks like a amazing science fiction novel that deals with a lot of heady ideas and, you know, an adult, you know, Star Wars essentially, and that's something that I'm really interested in reading. But based on this footage description, the one thing that has people talking is obviously what he said. It's really interesting to hear this kind of reaction. Obviously it's only one reaction, and we're going to get many different, you know, reactions to footage when, you know, the trailer comes out itself, and, you know, the footage, if it's screened to anyone else before the trailer releases, we're going to get different reactions, and I'm sure there will be a consensus of positivity surrounding this movie, but at the same time, take it with a grain of salt, because it's just one reaction. But the main question we also have, taking from this Dune footage that was screened, is when are we going to get the first trailer? I'm excited for it, and, you know, considering that I'm someone, as I said, who hasn't read the book, doesn't know too much about it, but I'm really excited to read it, and I'm really excited to see what Denis Villeneuve does to a project so beloved around the world. The question is, when are we going to get this footage? And I think there are numerous times we could get our first look at Dune. I think they are going to put out a first teaser, you know, not a full-length trailer, just something to get us into the visuals, to get us into the themes, the style of what this film is, and how Denis Villeneuve is going to capture it. The question is obviously, when are we going to get it? Now, I think that there are multiple times Warner Brothers, or multiple films rather, that Warner Brothers could screen this in front of. Now, they could go the kind of TENET route where they show it in front of a huge film like Star Wars. Obviously, we've got films like No Time to Die coming out. You've got all the superhero films like Wonder Woman, like Black Widow coming out. And I think they will want to get this to a big as an audience as possible, this trailer. Because if you look at Denis Villeneuve's past film and his recent films, they haven't done as well at the box office. And although you may be sitting there saying, well, he's an artsy director, he doesn't really care about that, I think he does. I mean, he's a director that really does create some incredible, pieces of filmmaking that, quite frankly, I love, I adore, but the one thing he has yet to do is make money at the box office. He's a director that deserves to be seen by more people, not just, the individual art house crowd who love his films already, like myself. But I think Denis Villeneuve knows that this film needs to get out there to as much people as possible. This is something he has adored since he was a child, this book, and he really wants to capture it in as big a scale and scope as possible. And I think he wants more people to appreciate that. He doesn't just want an art house audience to see that, and that was the problem with Blade Runner 2049. One of the best films of the year and even the decade. It's in my top 10 films of the decade. It just wasn't seen by enough people when it came out in the cinema. And Dune, it's an important question to ask, how are they going to market Dune? Because the Blade Runner 2049 marketing campaign was just not good enough. It was not good enough for a film that was that good. It should have been, shown and previewed to more people before it came out, so that people would actually buy a ticket, people who don't really necessarily go to the cinema as much to see it. And if you look at a director again like Christopher Nolan, he knows how to sell an art house mixed with, big scale blockbuster approach film to not just the art house audience, but audiences all over the world. And I think Denis Villeneuve wants to do that. In his heart, he knows he needs to get this to, be a hit amongst audiences. And when you're doing one of the most influential science fiction novels of all time, when you're making that film, it really needs to hit on with audiences. So there's a lot of films that this could release in front of. I think No Time to Die is a possibility, simply because it is obviously a big, Bond film. People know what James Bond is, but they have in the recent Bond films, tried mixing up the filmmaking, making it a bit more, thoughtful, less kind of just action and fun, a fun thrill at the cinema. It feels like they are taking a more realistic approach to them types of movies now. So I think for something like No Time to Die, we may get our first teaser, but I also think that even if we get a teaser in the coming months, where the full trailer, where we actually get that big trailer that needs to be shown to a lot of people, I think the perfect film to market that in front of is Christopher Nolan's Tenet, and that's why I've mentioned that a lot in this video. I think he's a director, as I said, who can sell a movie that has heady ideas, that is very high in its artism, but at the same time it has big scale and blockbuster approaches. And I think Dune is in a similar fashion to that. So I think putting a Dune trailer in front of Christopher Nolan's Tenet in July is going to be a really interesting thing to see. Are they going to advertise it in front of that movie? And I think they will. Also, if you consider that Warner Brothers like to advertise their Christmas and December movies, and this movie obviously comes out December the 18th, which is my birthday, believe it or not. Putting a movie in December, Warner Brothers like to advertise them types of Christmas movies, the fall movies, in July, in the summer periods, in your May to July kind of section. So I think, personally, if I was to put a prediction with all this information I've just given, when we could get a Dune trailer, I think in the next coming months we're going to get a teaser. And whether that's, just a 1 minute, 2 minute teaser to get the idea across and the visuals, I think by May we could get a teaser or something along the lines of that, put in front of a film like No Time to Die, or a big film that people are going to watch. I think he'll do that. But then I think when we come to the first trailer, the full-length trailer, I think Denis Villeneuve will look at something like Christopher Nolan's Tenet to put that trailer in front of, because it would be a key sweet spot, going into the end of the summer months, coming into winter, a heady film like Tenet, which is big in scale but also has a lot of artism to it. I think that will get the kind of audience he's looking for, but it will also introduce it to audiences that, you know, go to films like that, that necessarily don't go to the cinema much. So I think that's what they really have to take a smart approach with Dune in its marketing campaign, because they didn't do it well with Blade Runner 2049, and I really want this movie to be successful. I think Denis Villeneuve, as I said, is a director that has consistently shown how great of a filmmaker he is and the vision that he can, you know, capture on screen. So I think Denis Villeneuve and, you know, Warner Brothers in particular need to focus on this marketing campaign. They need to get this movie out there, because this could be a colossal hit. If you look at the cast, you look at the property which the film is about, you look at the fact that it's being compared to Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, we know it's going to be probably a really great film. It's all about the marketing campaign with this film. It's all about getting it out there to more people. And I think come May to that July period, they're going to have to really amp up this marketing campaign, hopefully put out the trailer, and we can see what it's like. So that is my opinion on when I think the Dune trailer is coming out, based on the recent talk of the footage being screened, based on, you know, the strategy that Warner Brothers will have to do with this film to get it to sell. So yeah, that's my opinion. I think between May and July, and especially Christopher Nolan's Tenet, I think that would be a great sweet spot film to market Dune in front of. But anyway, let me know what you think down below. Do you think we're going to see a Dune trailer film, or do you think they're going to do a similar approach to Blade Runner 2049 and hold back on trailers until, like, you know, the August-September months, which I think would be a silly idea, you know, based on the track record of Denis Villeneuve and obviously Blade Runner 2049. So let me know down below what you think. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, don't forget to leave a like rating on the video, comment what you think down below on this whole Dune trailer issue, and also subscribe to the channel if you want to see loads more content about films like Dune, Tenet, all the blockbusters and everything that's coming out in the movie world. So hope you guys enjoyed it. I've been Cortex, and as always, make some noise.